Good morning, children. Today we will be starting with the next topic of organic chemistry, that is general organic chemistry, GOC. Now, this is very important to understand the basic concepts of organic chemistry. Okay, so for this, we'll be beginning with some terms and effects. Not all will be able to cover in the first video, but I'll be covering the remaining in the successive video. So please stay tuned. Um, First, I'm introducing the term electrophile and nucleophile. Electron, it's related to negative. Electron. Phile means loving. That means any species which is electron loving. I can say, what are electrophiles? These are electron loving species. Electron loving species. Now, they can either be positively charged or they can be neutral. We will take examples. Okay, so if it is positively charged, definitely it will have a tendency to attract the electron toward, that is a negative thing, toward itself. And a nucleophile is nucleus loving. We can say it is nucleus loving. Nucleus loving species means it is positive loving species. Okay, so what will be this? It will be either negatively charged or it can be neutral also. Okay, we will take examples of electrophiles and the nucleophiles. So some positively charged electrophiles which we can have is H plus, that is proton, Cl plus. Cl plus, you normally have heard of Cl minus, that is chloride ion. This is Cl plus. It is called as chloronium ion. It is chloronium ion. Likewise, you may have Br plus, I plus, bromonium ion, iodonium ion, and so on. But the common ones I am writing here, NO2 plus. NO2 plus is called as nitronium ion. We will require all this in organic chemistry. So whatever I am teaching in the GOC part, please, I'm repeating again and again, do it properly, maintain the notes. Okay, then next you have is NO plus. NO plus is nitrosonium ion. Nitrosonium ion. These are all ions. Nitrosonium ion, nitronium ion. And then you have is R plus. R is alkyl radical. The R and then plus you have, this is called as carbocation. Carbon containing a positive ion. You can remember like this. Okay, apart from this, there are certain neutral species also which can be electrophiles. Okay, that is, I'll write down here. Some neutral species which can be the electrophiles are, say, R dot. We will be talking what is this R dot. It is, a free radical. It is free radical. What is free radical? We will be discussing about it. It is, to begin with, you can just have an idea as some alkyl radical where only one electron is there here. Okay, you can have, we will take the simple ones which you are aware of, right? So BF3, then you can have is AlCl3, then you have is FeCl3, right? You have SnCl4. Okay, now nucleophiles. Now what are nucleophiles? We discussed they are nucleus loving species. That means they can either be negatively charged or they can be neutral. So first I'm taking examples of negatively charged. H minus. Now what is H minus? Hydride ion. What was H plus? Proton. This is hydride ion. Then you can have is BH4 minus. BH4 is borohydride. AlH4, this is quite common. These two are quite common. This is aluminium hydride. Another negatively charged Cl minus, chloride ion, bromide ion, iodide ion, and so on. Likewise, you can have alkyl radical with a negative. Like I wrote here, carbocation. This is carb anion. That means it's actually alkyl radical. Alkyl radical is nothing but a carbon containing species. So it is having a negative, so it is carbanion. Okay, this we will be talking about, right? OH minus, Some more I'm writing here, O, R minus. What are they actually and where are we going to use them? So anything which is negatively charged. So some common ones I'm writing for you. Okay, so these negatively charged species, they'll definitely have a tendency to attract nucleus, this positive thing towards itself. Now we'll take example of the neutral nucleophiles. The neutral nucleophiles can be water. Why water? Because water is having a lone pair of electron. So this lone pair will have a tendency to attract some positive thing towards itself. If you remember, you have done this in dative bond formation. This will have a tendency to attract H plus towards itself. Likewise, you may have NH3. NH3 is having, all amines will have 1 degree, 2 degree, 3 degree. I'm writing few, right? You can have alcohol, ROH. Okay. Then you may have the substituted derivatives of it. Okay, I'm not writing some more, many more actually might be there, but we are not writing all examples. As you are doing organic chemistry, you will come across many species, but that you can just keep in your mind. What is nucleophile? Nucleus loving, positive loving. Clear till here? Now we'll talk about fission of the covalent bond. Now, fission of the covalent bond. The bond may break in two ways. Either it can be a homolytic fission or a heterolytic fission. As the name itself says, homo means same, lytic means breaking, lysis. So, if the bond breaks symmetrically, then it is called as homolytic fission. And if it is unsymmetrical fission, now, what do we mean by symmetrical and unsymmetrical fission? Let us take example. Unsymmetrical fission is heterolytic fission. Now, symmetrical fission means, suppose you have an example of a bond between two atoms, say A and B. And you know every covalent bond is made up of two electrons. Yes, because covalent bond is formed by sharing of the electrons. So, if the covalent bond breaks in such a manner that it breaks like this, such that after breaking both the atoms get one electron. After breaking, that is after this homolytic fission, it is forming A with one electron and then it is forming B with one electron. So after the breaking, it is forming two new atoms which are both are having one electron. Right. So this type of fission is called as homolytic fission. And when it is breaking symmetrically, how do we represent it? We will write down like this. That means one electron has gone to this, another electron has gone to the another atom. Like curved arrows we will show. Okay. So the two new species which are formed, both are having one electron. These electrons are called as free radicals. Just now we mentioned about free radicals here. In the electrophiles, they definitely have one electron means they are not satisfied, they will have a tendency to attract one more electron to acquire stability. So that is why we said, these free radicals are electrophiles. So homolytic fission always results in the formation of the free radicals. Okay, and when will this be formed? You know this, how this type of fission will occur when the electronegativity difference between the two atoms is very less or almost a zero, we can say. Yes, that means this bond should be non-polar. If it is a non-polar bond, then the bond will break by a symmetrical fission. So if it is a non-polar, it will break by homolytic fission and it will result in the formation of the free radical. Okay, where we are going to apply, we will discuss in the in the chapter. Now, heterolytic fission. When this let me take example and then explain. Suppose you have a covalent bond between two atoms A and B, and this bond definitely is made up of two electrons. And if there is a difference in the electronegativity of the two combining atoms A and B, suppose you have B more electronegative than A. If B is more electronegative, what will this do? It will take both the electrons. So both these electrons will be shifted towards B only. So if it is B more electronegative, B will get both the electrons and with a negative charge it will come, and A will not get any electron and it will form positive. That means of this bond, A will not get any electron. and both the electrons are going towards B. So B has formed negative and A has formed positive. That means both the electrons are getting displaced towards one of the atom which is more electronegative. Suppose it was reverse. You are having the two electrons and suppose B is more electronegative. Sorry, A is more electronegative than B. In case A is more electronegative than B, then both these electrons will move towards A and it will result in the formation of A with both the electrons and negative, B without an electron and positive. So when will this be formed? When will this heterolytic fission occur? This type of fission will occur when the bond is a polar bond. When there is a polar covalent bond, then it will break by heterolytic fission. It will result in the formation of the positively charged species and negatively charged species. So in this, this actually nobody is going to ask you like what is homolytic and heterolytic. We are going to apply this. Application part is important. Electrophiles, nucleophiles, yes, you should be having an idea. You can get some questions where examples are given and you're asked to classify them as electrophile or nucleophile, right? Now we'll be talking about the electronic displacements of the covalent bond in the covalent bond. The first effect which we'll be discussing in this is inductive effect. Now, these effects are also very important to discuss the properties, like this is more acidic, this is more basic, which is more stable and all that. So first we'll be discussing all the effects individually and then its application part, means how we are going to apply them to describe the properties. Now, what is inductive effect? It is the displacement of sigma electrons, not pi. That means it is only talking about saturated hydrocarbons. Displacement of sigma electrons along saturated carbon chain when electron withdrawing group or electron donating group is present at the end of the chain. Let me give you example. Suppose you have a carbon chain. It is a saturated hydrocarbon and at one end you have halogen attached. And you know halogen is an electron withdrawing group. It will try to pull electron toward itself. If this was not there, all were carbon atoms, all carbon atom means electronegativity difference is not there, so it will be equally shared between the atoms. But now in this case, this is more electronegative, it will have a tendency to pull the electron pair towards itself. So this will try to pull this electron pair towards itself and will try to get partial negative charge. We will not write complete negative because it has not taken the pair of electron. And the carbon atom which is attached just adjacent to halogen will acquire partial positive charge. So this effect will not stop here, definitely, because it is there attached to first carbon. So here the effect of the positive charge will be maximum. As you move away, the positive charge will decrease. This also will get a partial positive charge, but the partial positive charge will be lesser here. Still, as you move away from the carbon containing halogen, the effect of this positive charge will go on decreasing. So, based upon whether this group which is attached onto the carbon chain is electron withdrawing or donating, this effect is of two types. One is positive inductive effect, another one is negative inductive effect. Now, positive inductive effect is shown by electron donating groups. Let's take example. Let me write down first here. For positive inductive effect, it is shown by electron donating groups. And minus inductive effect is shown by electron withdrawing groups. You can remember like this. The group which is withdrawing electron toward itself tries to get a negative charge. So that is minus I. And if it is donating, it is plus. Let me take example of the donating. Suppose you have only carbon chain, right? There is a terminal one which will have methyl, this will have CH2, this will have CH2, this will have CH3 and so on, right? So this particular group is a methyl group. attached to this particular carbon. Methyl group, that, or generally I can say alkyl group. All alkyl groups are electron donating groups. All alkyl groups are electron donating. So it is going to push electron towards it, away from it. This methyl group will push electrons away from it. And this pushing tendency, suppose it doesn't stop here, it goes on. Okay, further that bond I am making means it is further attached to it. So this carbon will push electrons towards the next carbon. So this carbon will get a partial negative charge and this carbon will get a partial positive charge. So if suppose this H is also replaced by some alkyl group, that means there will be two alkyl groups pushing electrons towards this particular carbon. So that means more the alkyl groups attach, the inductive effect will be maximum. Let me draw the structures here and explain. Suppose I have this alkyl radical I am considering is tertiary butyl radical. Okay, I am talking about tertiary butyl. If I compare to this particular carbon, there are three alkyl groups attached. So they are all pushing electrons towards the carbon atom, the central carbon atom. That means the positive inductive effect is maximum in tertiary butyl. If I compare this with isopropyl, I am talking about certain examples. In that I am saying tertiary butyl is maximum. This is isopropyl. There are two alkyl groups, methyl groups attached to this carbon. So they are pushing electrons towards the carbon. They are pushing electrons. So two methyl groups are pushing electron. So that means this is having three. This is having more positive inductive effect than isopropyl. Then if I write down will be ethyl, where to this particular carbon only one methyl group is there, and then you will have is methyl, and then you will have H. H will have the least, the positive inductive effect. Clear till here? Now I'll take example of the negative inductive effect. Negative inductive effect, we will take examples. One such example I wrote was halogen. There are these groups which exhibit negative inductive effect. Nitro group, then you have CN, then you have acid, and then fluoro F, then chlorine, then you have, this is there, and then you have bromine or iodine. Okay, then you have H. H will be the least. So what are they doing? Suppose these are attached to the carbon. Suppose I write here nitro, right? So this will try to pull electrons towards itself. This will try to pull electron toward itself. So this carbon atom will get a partial positive charge because this is more electronegative, partial positive, this will get partial negative, and so on. So these are all electron withdrawing groups I have written. They all exhibit which kind of effect? They are exhibiting minus inductive effect. When they are present in the group, definitely the properties will be affected. So what we can say, inductive effect is a permanent effect. Why? Because they are present in the molecule, so definitely they are going to affect the properties. So it's a permanent effect, and moreover certain properties, they get affected. Their melting point can be affected, boiling point can be affected, dipole moment, we can write here melting point, boiling point, dipole moment, these properties also can get affected. Moreover, when we are discussing, we will say inductive effect affects the acidic nature. How it is affecting, I told you, we will take a separate video on the properties. Basic nature, it also discusses about the stability of the molecule, why this particular species is more stable than the other. Till here it is clear. So in today's session I have discussed about one effect, and the remaining effects we'll be discussing in the next session. Thanks for watching.